Hi, everyone. Welcome. We'll get started here in just a minute as folks hop on.
Oh, nice. Up to 196 folks.
I think we can probably get started just because I know we're here for like the lunchtime hour, and I want to make sure that we give more space and time for the panelists, as much time as possible, because we have so much to learn from each of you. So I'll go ahead and kick us off and hand off to you as folks continue to come in and join us. And welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so excited to be in space with all of you and to partner with some amazing colleagues here across the state, and to put this together so quickly. I think Arab American Heritage Month is one of those months, I believe, that just kind of goes off the radar. Like, people don't know about it. And it was something that I learned recently, that Oregon is the second state in the nation to proclaim and to recognize Arab American Heritage Month as a heritage month, right? And nationally, I believe it was recognized just back in 2021. So it's a newer heritage month, and it's something that oftentimes we just don't hear enough about, we don't know enough about. And so we're wanting to partner. Us with the Office of Cultural Change have been partnering with the folks on this call so that we can uplift, bring more voices, and learn about the experiences from folks on this call. But also, it's just such an amazing opportunity to celebrate. And I'm a believer that heritage months are really important, but I'm also a believer that we should be celebrating and uplifting our experiences and different cultures every day of the year. And so my hope is that this is kind of the stepping stone to learning more about Arab American heritage, so that we continue to uplift and celebrate and be in community, not only with the folks on this call, but with all of our other Arab American colleagues at the state and beyond. So I'm going to stop talking because I believe there's so much more to learn from our panelists here. So I'm going to pass it off to Mohammed Alarja, who we've been engaged with in the past couple of weeks, getting this opportunity out to everybody here in the community. So Mohammed, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to welcome you as we gather to celebrate the Arab American Heritage Month, a time to recognize and reflect on the deep contribution, the rich culture, and enduring legacy of Arab American across our nation, and right here within our own communities. The Arab world gave the world mathematics, astronomy, medicine, poetry, and architecture, but just as importantly, it gave us values we hold dearly: family, hospitality, heritage, and preservedness. Let's remember the words of the great Khalil Gibran. He's a Lebanese American writer and a philosopher who said, "You are the boughs from which your children is living, heirs are sent forth." Today, we honor a generation of Arab American, those who came before and those risen now, who have helped build our public institutions, shape our cities, and enrich the social fabric of our state and country. As a public servant, we know that diversity is not just something to acknowledge, it's something we live, something we serve, and something we strengthen together. So let today be a celebration, yes, but also recognition, a recognition that Arab American heritage is not only part of American history, it's part of American future. So welcome and thank you for being here. And I want to thank you, Melinda, for the warm welcome and for the leadership in celebrating the diverse culture that strengthens our state. And I will start introducing myself. So my name is Mohammed. I go by Mo Alarja. I work for the Department of Transportation. I manage the Lake Oswego and downtown DMV offices, so you might see my face familiar if you ever come to renew your license or your registrations. Hopefully you never do it. Online, everything possible. And let's see, where should I start? Beginning, there's a small video. I think we're gonna start about the Arab Museum history. I think to pay us have it queued in.
I
So
do.
in our program, we'll watch a short video that created by the American National Museum. It offers a moving overview of the Arab American identity and history, and we hope it sets the tone for what's ahead.
Perfect. All right, and can you see this okay?
Yes.
Perfect. And then, Mo, if you could give me a thumbs up once I press play, just to make sure that you can hear it as well.
Since the late 19th century, Arab Americans have been an integral part of United States history. Immigrating from regions in Southwest Asia and North Africa, they arrived here, searching for economic opportunities, seeking refuge, or to build a new home, each person with a story of their own. These stories live on through photos, documents, and heirlooms that together tell a larger story of the lived experiences brought to light by the first and only Arab American National Museum.
These artifacts, these objects, they're the stuff of history. Each object can tell us something about the lives of the earliest Arab immigrants or even the most recent ones. By collecting and preserving these objects, we're able to understand and record and document the stories that make up the Arab American community's history and allows us to understand their impact and share them with present and future generations.
The Arab American National Museum is our necessary and compelling storyteller, representing our diverse and rich culture through literature, research, art, and music. Our mission to document, preserve, and present the history and contribution of Arab immigrants and their descendants began in 2005 in Dearborn, the heart of Arab America.
It serves as such an anchor in our community, not just here in Dearborn, but it has such an international reputation. And their collections and what they do to keep the stories alive, to preserve the stories, to preserve that culture is so critical to our society in general.
The museum has drawn tens of thousands of visitors each year from all 50 states and different countries around the world to explore our core galleries and engage with the local community. From Dearborn to Ellis Island and reaching as far as Los Angeles and Houston, the Arab American story has been shared in cities across the nation. Our temporary and traveling exhibitions shine a light on how immigration has shaped the lives of Arab Americans today and how Arab Americans have in turn shaped this country.
The museum gives me a home for my ancestors, a place I can return to again and again to visit and celebrate where and who I come from.
A proud Smithsonian affiliate and accredited by the American Alliance of Museums, the Arab American National Museum educates, engages, and inspires our community to continue expanding the Arab American narrative.
Together, the Arab American National Museum and the Smithsonian are able to tell a more complete American story. Telling this American story through an Arab American lens is so important because it reminds us all what it means to be human and what it means to be a citizen of the United States.
Through youth programs and family-friendly activities, we build a new generation of museum goers, bringing students into our space to learn about their culture and the culture of their peers.
To learn to be the artist I want to be.
To learn that art can be whatever I want it to be.
To learn from and teach each other about our story.
To teach people about beauty and diversity.
The museum has always stood as a national hub for hosting community dialogue producing and sharing knowledge, and curating thoughtful programming. Today, we continue to foster a community of arts and culture, and we provide a space for us to fully and creatively express ourselves.
Where we can represent ourselves.
To tell my story.
To raise my voice.
At its core, the museum is home to every Arab American across the nation, welcoming people near and far into our doors to experience our unique and incredible story. It is a museum that tells many stories created by us and for us, and carries our legacy forward for generations to come.
Thank you, Tobias. David, you beautifully captured the richness and resilience of the Arab American story. Now, I'm honored to introduce our 5 speakers, each of whom brings a unique background, perspective, and passion to this space. Please welcome Mazen Malik, Hajar Al-Jilal, Amna Ashur, Ali Hamza, and Sam Honedi. And we'll hand over the mic to Mazen.
Yes, the proverbial mic. Thank you. I unmuted myself. Thank you for having me. We've been having this Arab American Heritage Month for about 3-4 years now, and that has been great work. I've worked for the state of Oregon since 1992. That makes it about 33 years of public service. Worked the beginning as with the Oregon Department of Transportation. When I left that ODOT, I was the chief economist for ODOT and manager of economic analysis, and I joined the Oregon legislature and the Legislative Revenue Office, which I currently still work there. And you know, as you know, now there is a very busy legislative session, so I took this break from that to actually share our lunchtime with you. And I'll take the mic back. I don't know if you want me to pass it to someone, but I'll pass it to
Sure, whoever you choose.
Hajar. That would be.
Hi, yes, welcome, or thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Hajar, and I am an engagement manager in the Tigard Self-Sufficiency Office, and been with the state of Oregon and the Department of Human Services for 10 years. And I've always, since I started here, I've loved what I do. I'm very passionate about the work that we do. My values align very strongly with the Department of Human Services, and yeah, I'm happy to be here. I will pass the mic to Amna.
Hi all, my name is Amna, and I've been with the Department of Human Services, the Self-Sufficiency Office, since 2022, and I really enjoy being here, helping clients every day, and to help them take that first step, like to thrive in life. It's very important to me. And I don't know, Sam is next, I think.
Okay. Yeah, hi. My name is Sam Honedi, and I've been I work for the Oregon Department of Transportation, being with them for about 33 years, about the same time when Mazen joined. Him and I are probably about 6 months apart or something like that. I'm in the engineering project delivery units. I have been involved with this in the early stages of the Arab American heritage, in the early stages of that. So I'm really honored and I would like to thank everyone for inviting me to share my experience. With that, I will pass it on to Ali.
So thank you everybody for being here. My name is Ali Hamza or Ali Hamza. I'm one of the operations managers who has the privilege of working alongside Hajar Al-Galal at the Oregon Department of Human Services. I started my career with the state working alongside my good and dear friend Muhammad Al-Arja or Mo. I've been with the state for almost 10 years next month, and it is an absolute privilege to be part of this amazing and such a heartwarming presentation of Arab American Heritage Month. And thank you all for taking time out of your day to be here and join us in this presentation. So I'm going to share and pass the proverbial mic back to Mo.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. And we'll try to save ourselves time. Thank you for sharing your introduction. Inspiring to see how each of you carries their heritage into the work you do every day. I'll do a small introduction about me. So my name is again Muhammad Al-Arja. I work for ODOT for almost 9 years now. So hand it over to Mazen. You got the presentation ready?
You want me to go through the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes. Now,
Okay.
Mazen will walk us through a historical overview of the Arab heritage from its global roots to its influence in American and Oregonian life.
Okay, can everybody see the presentation on your
Yes.
screen? Excellent.
Good to go.
Let me do this thing quickly. I know sometimes it takes more time than we would like, but I would like to keep it quick and short. There is more information on the slide that I will not be reading that. I just would like to give you a general idea of introduction of who Arabs are and Arab Americans, and then try along the way to dispel some of misconceptions and stereotypes and so on that people are introduced to and engage in without necessarily having the benefit of knowing the origins, geography, and history. But when we talk about Arabs, basically the broadest definition that we talk about is people coming from what we call the 22 countries that compose the basically the Arab League. And as you would see in these different colorful spots in the map, these are different segments of the Arab world, as we call it. And as you would see if you see the Red Sea, which is the one that we have with the two protruding gulfs of water, the Red Sea almost slices the Arab world into two sections. It's the Asian section, or what we call the Middle Eastern section, and then the African section. And as you could see from the map, most of the Arab countries or the Arab world, the total Arab world area, land area is about 5 million square miles. Most of that is in the African section. So a lot of the Arab land mass is in the African part of the Arab world. And out of the 473 million people who come or belong to that part of the world, and that's a 2023 estimate of population. Egypt, which is in basically the first place that you would have in the African section of the Arab world, it makes about 100 million of these. So it's the most populous country in the Arab world. And if you look way down in the bottom of the Indian Ocean, a very small blue dot here, if you could see it, that's the Comoros Islands, and this is the smallest Arab state that there is. Most most of it's about less than 1 million people live there. So Arabic primarily is what unifies the Arab world, not only the language, but the culture, the history, and the long history that we come from. Arabic in general is a Semitic language. Semitic languages come primarily as, Arabic is the mother of all Semitic languages in essence. But in addition to Arabic, Aramaic, which was the language that Jesus spoke, as you probably all know, Aramaic, and then Hebrew, and then other smaller tongues of the Semitic languages, especially the Amhari uh, dialect that is more common in Ethiopia and Eritrea and Somalia and so on. The Arab world mostly is a majority Muslims, but very significant other religious populations, especially Christians and other minorities that live there. But also keep in mind that not all Arabs or Arab speaking, or the Arab speaking come from the Arab world, only 22 countries. So if you look, the darker green is what I showed you before about the Arab world. However, the lighter green is these are the areas where Arabic is spoken widely. So these are populations that speak Arabic, but not necessarily part of the official establishment of Arab states. So some people consider themselves Arabs by ethnicity, but don't necessarily come from an Arabic recognized state. That is true in northern areas of Iran and Turkey, and also in Africa and sub-Saharan Africa and so on. The one thing that would like to make sure that you kind of have a distinction in your mind about is how the Arab world is different from the Middle East. Usually people think of them as synonymous, Arabs and Middle Easterners. This is what geopolitical definition of what the Middle East is. And what if you see that, you see a lot of the Asian part of the Arab world, in addition to Egypt. But also in addition to that, what's also included in the geographical definition of the Middle East, you would find Iran, Persia, and Turkey. Both of them are not necessarily Arabic by ethnicity or by tongue or language, but they are Muslims, and of course, they also are long existing neighbors for hundreds and thousands of years, but they are not in that essence considered to be Arabs. So that's how the difference that you would want to make in your mind between what is Middle Eastern and what is Arab. The other thing that you probably usually hear from a lot of people thinking Arabs and Muslims are synonymous, and Arabs and Muslims are not. As you would see, the Arab world is a smaller subsegment of what the Muslims in the world. There is about 1.5 billion, 1.6 sometimes people think, Muslims in the world that extend all the way to Asia, Central Asia, and some parts of Europe, and a lot of parts of Africa, Turkey, Iran, and so on. The largest Islamic state is Indonesia, and then Pakistan, Bangladesh, Turkey, and Iran, all big Muslim countries that are not Arabs. And they don't have Arabic as a language or as a central language of their culture, distinct cultures. There are also significant Muslim populations in India, 190 million. Of course, anything a minority in India is a big number. Nigeria also has about 95 million and so on. And not all Arab countries in that regard are purely Muslim on the other side. For example, Lebanon, until a few years ago, it was considered to be a majority, a small majority, 51% or so Christian. That's probably the demographic balance have a little changed now. There's large Christian communities in Syria, Egypt, Palestine, Jordan, and Iraq, and so on. So these are the distinctions between what you would find defined as Arab versus what is defined as Muslim. Now, just a quick background. Historically, we've agreed that the Arab region extends through what we call MENA, the MENA region, or Middle East, North Africa. So, and the Middle East, North Africa, Arab region is in this map. You would find it in black, but mostly a lot of Arabs have started migration, and there was a big migration at a certain time, and I will talk about the waves of migrations. But most of the Arabs who live outside the Arab world or the Arab region are primarily in South and Latin America, and why that would be the case, especially in Brazil, Chile, Colombia, El Salvador. In Brazil, you would find about 9 million Arabs living there, 9 million inhabitants of Arab descent. And actually, the majority of those 9 million, about 6 million Lebanese. And to statistics says there is as many Lebanese in Brazil as there is in Lebanon. And of course, why that was happening, that in the waves of immigration in the early 1900s, a lot of Arabs who were moving outside of the region, primarily at the end of the Ottoman Empire and the Ottoman time, they were escaping wars, the Ottoman European wars, and also conscription in the army of the Ottoman army. A lot of them wanted to leave and migrate to America. And of course, America in the definition of that time was not necessarily the United States only. America to them was the continents, both continents, North and South America. So that's why you would find a lot of Arab migrations of the 1800 and early 1900 went to places like Brazil, Chile, Colombia, where you still find a lot of Arab populations, Ecuador, and so on. And you would find the integration of a lot of these populations into the societies, in the sense that they also make up a lot of the the intellectual class, the artists, and the working. Some presidents that actually lived and became presidents in these areas. In total, about 11 Arab American, not American in the US, but Arab heritage presidents in South and Latin America came from Arab descent. But you find concentrations, as again, Brazil is mostly Lebanese, Syrian. Chile has the largest Palestinian community outside of the Middle East or outside of Palestine. The Colombia also have a different assortment. Argentina at one point had also a big Syrian community, and one of the presidents of Argentina, Carlos Menem, was of Assyrian descent. Not to dwell too much and lose you with time, if we transition quickly to what Arab Americans, this is how the concentration in different colors you would see of Arab American areas. And as you saw from the video at the beginning of the about the Arab American Museum, you got the sense that primarily the what we call the capital of Arab America is Dearborn, Michigan. So Dearborn is the home for the largest concentration of Arab Americans, about 500,000 people in that area. Second to that comes New York, New Jersey, and then Los Angeles, San Francisco, the Bay Area in general, Chicago, and so on in Washington, D.C. And of course, you see, a lighter green in Oregon, which tells you there is a good amount of Arab Americans in Oregon. So the Arab Americans who are, basically trace their roots, that's how we define them, to the 22 countries in Africa and Asia, share a common language and heritage. They come in many religions. So the majority of Arab Americans that come from the first wave, and that's the wave of the late 18, early 1900s, came from areas that were what we call the Greater Levant area, which is Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Palestine, and a lot of them came. They came from mostly Christian communities, and they were Eastern Orthodox, or what we call Greek Orthodox, and Greek and Catholics, Maronites, Coptics, Assyrians, Chaldeans, and so on. And also additionally, Muslims also came in the same segment of that community. The majority of Arab Americans, primarily 82% of them are citizens. So the second wave of Arab Americans came in the 50s and 60s. And that was a result of the upheaval, revolutions, wars, especially the Arab-Israeli conflict in 1967. And many came from, at that time, Egypt, Syria. We found the largest migration from Egypt at that time coming, but also Syria, Lebanon, Palestine. A lot of Palestinians left because of the war. So many of these new immigrants that came the second wave were primarily very highly educated groups, both Muslims and Christians. And they came with skill, and some came with some capital and started into the community already building on assets that they already had. In the 90s, they were a smaller wave that came through, and because of the result of the Gulf Wars, or both Gulf Wars. And then the third large wave from that year 2000 until present. And those are primarily coming as waves of refugees, war refugees, especially from Iraq, Syria, Libya, Somalia, and Morocco. And in general, we think that there is about, the estimates say that about, 3 to 4 million in the year 2000 estimates. However, the Arab American Institute, with tracing and adjusting statistics by their own methods, they actually basically put the number at about 6.5 to 7 million people in the United States that trace their roots into the Arab heritage. So it grew a lot in the 2000, and it actually, that is an explosive growth, 42%. But what one say that the identification processes through the census and other ways of identifying as Arab Americans, and that's another story of, in the past, the census considered Arab Americans as classified as white in the white population. And of course, that has its own roots. If we have time, we'll tell you the story how that happened. But it was really an amusing story of why that was. And basically, just not to tease it, it was through a process where an immigrant argued that they could not actually send him, that there was a time when people were not admitted to be immigrants in the United States if they were not white. And therefore, at the time, he said, well, I come from the Holy Land, and if Jesus is not white, so I am not. And then the rule was okay. Then Arabs are white since they have this connection to Jesus, I guess. So today, in other places, we have about estimates, official estimates, about 40 or 32,000 Arab Americans in Oregon. We think through the adjustments and so on that we're talking of Arab American population of more than about 50,000 people. A big idea. Whoever likes statistics, here's what the official statistics show, where you have 3.5 million. Remember these unadjusted numbers, mostly Lebanese, only combinations and others. However, today, if you meet an Arab American or you happen to know one, most likely than not, you would find your new acquaintance or friend, 6 times out of 10, they would be Lebanese, and the same time, 6 times out of 10, you would find that new friend that you have, an Arab American, is a Christian as well. The second largest is from Egypt, 14.5, Palestine 7.3, and so on, as you would see. A lot smaller numbers come from the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, or other places within the Arab population, because a lot of the migration came from the greater Levant or the greater Syrian area. So very quick idea that would like you to know about Arab Americans. The icon of Arab America is Gibran Khalil Gibran, also known as Khalil Gibran in English. And Gibran Khalil Gibran, if you ever Google him or Google quotes by Gibran Khalil Gibran or Khalil Gibran, you would find that a lot of the quotations and sayings that are used in many of the culture, of the American culture, actually was and originated from Gibran. Gibran lived in the United States in the Boston area until he died in 1931. He also has a statue built for his memory. He was a Lebanese American, a writer, a poet, an artist, and also a philosopher. But he himself did not like that classification because he thought of himself more of a common man. His main book, he wrote many books, of course, but his most popular book is The Prophet, that was published in the United States in 23, translated to more than 100 languages, and it became the most ever-selling published book in the United States and the world. The second icon that you probably should know is Edward Said, who is the author and writer of many books, but primarily known for his work on the Orientalism. And Orientalism was the new intellectual way that kind of spared down the way the Western colonization basically thought and treated and kind of philosophically put the image of what is an Oriental or Easterner versus a Westerner, and this idea of as they thought of the racist hierarchy between populations. And he basically was one of the intellectuals that changed the way people understand the Western / Oriental, Western Eastern relationships and how these things are thought of. He was a professor of comparative literature in Columbia University. And in addition to all his abilities and intellectual prowess, he actually was an accomplished pianist. Edward Said was a great musician. And of course, for us in Oregon, we all are or trace the when I came to Oregon, Victor Atiyeh was the governor of Oregon. And Victor Atiyeh comes from a Syrian background of a family that came way back in the early 1900s. He occupied many offices in Oregon. He was a feature of the political life in Oregon, served in many capacities. Victor Atiyeh was, at the time of his election, the first Arab American governor in the United States. And of course, he also appointed the first female Supreme Court Justice, Betty Roberts, and many of his accomplishments. I would recommend that you Google, look him up, and his other accomplishments in the state of Oregon. Henry Sununu, or John Sununu, was also a governor that, also a U.S. Senator in New Hampshire, and was known, of course, to me, I'm an old guy, and when I came in and I look at these people that I came and found to be part of the fabric of the United States, and I recognized immediately. Many of you would probably recognize Ralph Nader. Ralph was, a consumer advocate, and he was, prominent in the political landscape of the United States. He's son of Lebanese immigrants, and he went, to Princeton and law school, and he became an activist, and also not only a consumer activist, but an environmental activist and a watchdog groups for the citizens and consumer in the United States. So also many of you would probably know Donna Shalala was also the daughter of Lebanese Maronite Catholic descent, and she was a Secretary of Human Services during the Clinton administration. Today, many of you, especially the young, would recognize Rashida Tlaib, Congresswoman of Palestinian origins, and a very effective and an outspoken, critic and outspoken for the rights of many people, not only Palestinians or Arabs, but many of the marginalized communities. Ilhan Omar is also a congresswoman from Minnesota. And of course, these are basically the ones that we have. I have also, if we still have time, a selection of other Arab American, famous in medicine and in science, in the first artificial heart, Michael Elias and Debkai, and many in chemistry, in medicine, and even the arts, and Hollywood music, Casey Kasem, actresses, Salma Hayek, singers, Shakira, DJ Khaled, and Gigi and Bella and Anwar Hadid, and of course others that have relationships with Arab ancestry would be, George Mitchell, senator that he has Arab American from his mother's side, and also the great Steve Jobs, who was actually born as, to a Syrian father, but later adopted to a family that raised him. So I went through this very quickly, so we would not have the time that actually leave us scrambling for the time to discuss. But I hope I didn't lose everybody through the process.
Thank you, Mazen, for that thoughtful and educational presentation. We appreciate it. Question for the panelists. Is there anything you'd like to add or share? I remember Hajar had something to share. No?
I think
Oh,
that I hear that there are some discussions or engagement in the chat since people don't have mics, but is that something that I don't know? It's up to you to keep an eye on, I guess.
Sure. Well, I want to just ask the panelists if they have something they want to share, because I know we ran at the beginning a little bit quicker, faster than we thought, but we have some time. If you want to share something personal or something from what we do every day.
yes. So I can go first if that.
Sure. You're muted. Good.
Yeah. Hi. Thank you for calling on me. I apologize. I didn't catch the question. But we did get a question. So something that we were all thinking about that we wanted to share is some kind of personal connection to our Arab heritage. And so um, Arab American Heritage Month, it's definitely a time to reflect on the richness of our cultural roots. And for me, my Libyan heritage shines most brightly through food. So I love food. I love to cook. So going back, Libya is where my dad is from. It's just a really beautiful country. It sits along the Mediterranean coast between Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia, and Sudan. And I had a chance to go there in 2004. And my journey to Libya in 2004 was more than just a visit. It really did feel like it was meant to be, like a destiny. My father's from Libya, my mother's Japanese. So I had a very interesting upbringing and I grew up eating lots of different foods. We didn't go to restaurants or eat takeout food, so it's just always been a significant part of my life. Um, Having grown up in a world where Libya was out of reach due to sanctions from 86 to 2004, finally setting foot on its soil was a deeply meaningful experience. I traveled to Libya with my father, and I was really eager to embrace a life shaped by a collective society where family and heartfelt connections are at the core of everyday life. My values have always aligned with my Libyan roots, and I just really long to be a part of a community where acceptance wasn't just a possibility, but a way of life. And some of my most cherished memories are of cooking with my beloved Aunt Aisha. And she's a beautiful woman who embodies the spirit of Libyan hospitality. She prepares food with love and care, and it's a philosophy that she passed down to me. She taught me the beauty of doing things by hand, the patience, the intention, and the joy that comes from crafting meals with devotion. I can still see us strolling through the markets, carefully selecting the finest ingredients, and excited for the feast that we would create together. Because meal times are often shared with family and friends. It's a beautiful time, and food is seen as a way to really connect and build relationships. And so Libyan cuisine, it holds a special place in my heart because it's also distinct. It's rooted in a diverse history that many don't immediately associate with typical Arabic food. And when people think of Arabic cuisine, dishes like shawarma and hummus often come to mind, which are absolutely delicious. They're foods that have been widely shared across cultures. But Libyan food is different. It tells its own story and it's infused with influences from Italian colonization as well as Berber influences. It's got Mediterranean influences and Tunisian influences. The Libyan food, it's very bold and comforting. It's heavy. It's deeply tied to its land and its people. The Libyan people are very proud of their food. The dishes vary across regions, but they all share a common like Libyanness. So some of my most favorite dishes are rushta, which is a handmade pasta cooked in a spicy tomato lamb sauce. There's also different versions of it, like rushta kiskas, there's dolma, there's sharba libiya, so like Libyan soup. The country's national dish is called couscous, which is a staple in all Libyan households. And it can be served either savory or sweet, depending on the region. But my favorite is the savory version served in Tripoli. It's truly a labor of love to prepare this dish. It's a semolina carb base with a rich aromatic and spicy tomato sauce. It's got lamb, onions, chickpeas. So it's just really, really delicious. Other common foods in Libya are pomegranate, dates, olive oil, tomato paste, and garlic. And the most widely used spices are cumin, turmeric, cinnamon, cardamom, caraway, and coriander. And there are some foods like bezine that's eaten by hand. So Libyan people eat some of their meals by hand. Bezine is a really popular dish. It's a dough-like barley mound served with lamb and vegetables, and also a rich tomato-based sauce. So all in all, really, to me, food is more than just sustenance. It is love, connection, and celebration and honor. It has accompanied every joyous moment in my life. It filled the spaces between family gatherings, late night conversations, and family gatherings and shared laughter. So in honoring my heritage, I celebrate the flavors that have shaped me, the hands that have fed me, and the traditions that continue to bring people together across generations. And I'm very proud of my Libyan heritage. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Hajar. You make some of our colleagues hungry and looking for some Middle Eastern food now for maybe their lunch break. So, Ali, you got something next?
Yes, thank you so much. I'll try to keep this short, but Mr. Mazen, as always, puts on an excellent presentation. And Hajar, thank you so much for introducing us to the Libyan culture and just sharing a piece of that. I'm going to go ahead and share screen here. It might be a little clunky, so here we go. Let me know if you can see what I'm sharing.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Excellent. All right, so thank you for the opportunity to be here. So my connection to my Arab heritage or Lebanese heritage is woven through every part of who I am. I spent my earlier years in a small village, which is shown in the diagram over here in the mountains of southern Lebanon, about 20 minutes and 1,100 feet away above the Mediterranean sea level. It's a place like no other, where life moved to the rhythm of community and connection. It was a village of less than 2,000 people where everyone knew everyone and neighbors were more like family than neighbors. Lebanon itself is a land steeped in history, once the heart of the ancient Phoenicia, one of the world's oldest civilizations. It was the Phoenicians who gave the world the gift of the alphabet to humanity, also the color purple, or Tyrian purple, if you may. And the very soil of southern Lebanon cradles the city of Qana, where Christian tradition holds that Jesus, peace be upon him, turned water into wine. It is a land of scholars, merchants, prophets, and poets, and a living testament to resilience and renewal. As I grew older, I went to college in the beloved city of Beirut, a city that some of you might know never sleeps. It is a city that is alive with culture, music, history, and resilience, where even amidst hardship and catastrophe, people always find a way to celebrate life, to innovate, and dream boldly without borders. My time there taught me not only knowledge from books, but lessons in endurance and creativity, but more importantly, hope. What I carry most vividly from my life there is the spirit of hospitality. Imagine with me, endless cups of Arabic coffee and tea and laughter that would echo late into the night. Neighbors who felt more like family than neighbors. And Sundays, of course, were sacred for us, for my family. It was a time where the whole family would gather at my grandparents' house. Tables were filled with charcoal grilled lamb kebabs, mashewi, if you may, chicken wings, fresh tabbouleh, and various bowls of meza that covered every corner of the table. And it didn't matter who was actually cooking in that moment, because somehow in that moment, everyone became a grill master and a political analyst, seeming to have all the answers and solving the world's problems. It was lively, it was chaotic, it was beautiful, and for a brief period in time, it was home. One of my greatest reflections of that spirit was my paternal grandmother, my beloved Teta, Adnan. She was the embodiment of love in motion, kind, generous, and endlessly giving. Even when her body grew weak, her spirit remained strong. Her home was a sanctuary where stories, tea, and compassion were abundant. I remember vividly during the 2006 war, When fear gripped our village and many were preparing to evacuate, my grandmother stood firm in her doorway and said to me, "Go where? This is my home, Habibi. This is where I was born, and this is where I will be laid to rest." Her strength was quiet, it was unwavering, and a living example of resilience rooted in love. After moving back to permanently to the United States in early 2012 or late 2012, it was a decision that was made necessary by economic crisis and instability. That spirit never left me. It has been simply the cornerstone of how I live and how I lead. I am blessed to share my life with my amazing wife, who is an Oregonian. She has embraced my culture with open arms, and together we have blended our unique traditions to raise our three beautiful children that you see over here in the picture, Gabriel, Lila, and our newest and most recent addition to the family, Alia, giving them the best of all our worlds have to offer. So we strive to stay connected with my roots, making it a point to visit Lebanon every couple of years when it's safe to do so. Unfortunately, the region remains unstable, as some of you might have seen in the news, especially in the south, where I am from. But the connection to my home lives on in our hearts and the values that we pass down. Beirut, the capital city, as some of you might know, has been destroyed and rebuilt over 7 times throughout history. And yet it continues to rise like the phoenix from the ashes. That same resilience is something I carry with me every single day. It influences my work here in the great state of Oregon, where I prioritize relationships over transactions and people over processes. It shapes how I serve my community, always striving to ensure that everyone feels seen, heard, and included, just like the traditional dabki, a dance where we all come together hand in hand to honor the past and present to the sync of the same beat. While I am absolutely proud to be an American, I am equally proud to be Lebanese and Italian and to celebrate the richness of all of my roots combined. My heritage is not something I leave behind. It's something I carry forward with gratitude, resilience, and hope. Arab American Heritage Month is a beautiful reminder that our stories are not relics of the past. They are living bridges carrying the light of our ancestors into the future. And so I leave you with this. Wherever life plants you, stand tall like the cedar tree. Let the winds of hardship make you stronger and not smaller. Carry the spirit of resilience with you, just as my ancestors and your ancestors did. And let your life be a beacon of hope, perseverance, and most importantly, unwavering light. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ali. This was, I can add more comments. It speaks for itself. Thank you, thank you. And I know time is cutting close, and I know I have a part to add some questions, but also we have an honored guest, Mohammed Badr from Director of Department of Human Services in Multnomah County. He honored us to close with a reading of one of his poem. I think he is with us. Let me check on him.
I may need to give him permission. I'll look really quick here, Mo. Let me see.
Some technical difficulties.
No, I don't see him in the.
Yeah, he replied and said that he's muted and he cannot.
Okay.
He's here. Yeah.
Cannot unmute for some reason.
I see him. I see him. But I don't think I can mute.
Oh, it looks like I was able to unmute myself before I was not able. Thank you all. I'll make it short. Lovely to hear from you all. I am, and when I heard you talk about Beirut, Ali, risen from the ashes 7 times. The same thing for Jerusalem. I was born in Jerusalem, in East Jerusalem, and so I will make it short. I was just going to read you a poem that I wrote, really about peace and hoping for peace. I wrote it in Arabic, and I don't know how many of you speak Arabic. I might just read it in Arabic for the sake of time, and then I can send the translation if needed. It's a short one. It's called ربما, perhaps. ربما نسير معا يوما ما. ربما نصل إلى النبع ونشرب مياه الحرية. ربما ننظر إلى السماء ونراها زرقاء ونراها صافية. ربما نجد السلام يوما ما. So thank you all. I know it's a time you in that one, and so thank you for inviting me. And if you want to find my poetry, you'll find it on the Arabian Traveler at Gmail or at medium.com.
Thank you, Muhammad. Appreciate it. Tobias, how are we with time? Do we have?
We do have a little time. I mean, I think folks expected us to go over because of the time I put on the invitation. And there's still 148 people here. So
okay, I see. Any questions? You can put it in the chat. If not, we'll have Melinda give us a blessing and farewell.
I believe, you know, earlier on, Mo, sorry, I keep popping back on screen. We saw that Bryant Campbell had a question for the group, and Bryant typically has pretty good questions. So if we can go back there, Bryant, I'll read it out loud here. I'll have to go back up a little bit, unless somebody else sees it before I do. There it is. A question from Bryant here. How do you all feel your cultural heritage benefits your colleagues in serving the Arab American communities of Oregon? If anybody has any thoughts on that, you could see the question. I'll put it closer to the end of the chat here as well.
Anyone want to tackle it?
Well, you know, it's if no one wants to take it on, the ever since we excuse me, ever since I came and started that work for the state of Oregon, I found just by being there, it becomes a thing of more of opening the doors and allowing people dialogue, discussion, introductions, and so on. I mean, these are things that everyday process doesn't allow. You know, for example, when we even talk about olive oil, people are surprised, for example, that olive trees don't necessarily produce any fruits for the first 20 to 30 years of their life because the fruit by then is small. It doesn't lend itself to becoming olive oil. And how olive trees actually live for thousands of years, and how in our cities in Palestine, for example, and in the city of Beit Sahur, there are an olive tree that goes to the time of Christ, and how the olive fruit, the more the trees are old, the better the olive oil is. Meaning, if you allow wine to preserve and date in the bottles, while olive oil actually preserves and matures within the tree itself, and how that connects our history and our life into each other. That becomes an idea of the thing that you buy in the in the supermarket for, depending, of course, on the kind of $25 to $30, how that history connects to the people. And then when you see things like, settlers and Israeli settlers and uprooting olive trees, how that just completely disregards all this rich cultural history that these trees have been, doing and preserving for all these thousands of years and been attended to. So I think that simple dialogue kind of opens up the people into the connections of how history connects to the future, and how diverse one's opinions become. For example, the old houses, Muhammad talked about being born in Jerusalem, and how houses in Jerusalem, you can be in a house that was constructed hundreds of years ago, 700-800 years ago. That's the same house. People are still living in it. It's not only ruins, it actually is continuation of life and heritage and culture that is centuries old. I think that how I find it always connecting with my colleagues, and opening the doors and shining light on how things interact between culture, heritage, and history, and the common day.
Thank you. Ali, you raise your hand, or?
Yeah, I was going to tie it into kind of our work here at the Oregon Department of Human Services. Thank you for sharing, Mr. Malik. For us, we serve, all Oregonians here at ODHS, and folks coming in from all walks of life. And so it's often helpful for us to have context that we can share with our colleagues and act as a form of cultural liaisons. I often like using that word. Cece, as if she's on the call, she knows I like using that word because, it doesn't matter how much research you do, there are just some small nuances about a culture that might be absent from, that theoretical perspective. And so we come in to help bridge those gaps between our colleagues and the folks that we serve, or between our colleagues and our colleagues. Maybe it's somebody who is starting at a different office, maybe where there's a lack of exposure. So we're often helping bridge those gaps, break down those biases and those stigmas that the media for years have been using to portray the Middle East and the people of the Middle East in a less than favorable light, if I'm being honest. And so, we have an opportunity as Arab Americans and our fellow allies on this call to help change that image and just bring some light and some beauty to all of our beautiful cultures respectively, and learn a little bit more about each other, because oftentimes people just fear what they don't know. And so it's an opportunity for us to be able to just teach each other and learn from each other, to just not only better serve our communities, but just leave a better world behind for our children and their children, right?
Let me also add to what you just mentioned, Ali. This type of a celebration, I mean, that's basically can be used as a reminder to all of us that our histories are woven into our identity and shaping how we see the world and how our place in it. embracing this heritage enriches our lives and helps building bridges of understanding and respect across the different communities, and whether it's in Oregon or across the United States. So that is very helpful across from a cultural point of view. Just wanted to add that. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam, Mazen, and Ali for sharing, and Hajar. Muhammad Badr, you want to add something to that?
No, thank you. I think I really liked what Ali said earlier. Appreciate you. I have also a Gabriel too, and I think as we're trying to build a new life, we're not ashamed of our culture. We love our Arab heritage, but also we're versatile. As Arab Americans all over the years, we are kind of multinational in lots of ways. And I was glad to hear you referred yourself as Arab and Italian. And I've got also like we Arabs are mixed, and we've got a lot of things. I've got Greek in me, Italian, Nigerian, Maasai. I mean, and I think that's why we hold humanity. Wherever we go, we are looking to produce and be productive. We contribute to society. We build. We invent. And we're proud workers, and I think that's what we want to be known as. We work, and wherever we go, we want to be also treated equally. The history of Arab Americans in the U.S. was really hard. The discrimination. Telling a policeman who arrested a white person in San Francisco in the 60s that he couldn't arrest a person because he was referred to as non-white person. And that's why like Arabs actually in the early days advocated and fought to be listed as whites, really. Because originally, and I'm saying that to say that we don't want to be treated less than. We come to a place and we want to excel and we want to be part of that community. And it was that the successful venture on that policeman who actually was able to argue and won a case where he was saying, "I'm an equal." And I think that's the. I'm hoping that we can continue to do that. It is a bit hard for us, and I had written, and I realized I didn't have much time, but if I have time, I'd love. There's a short poem that I wanted to read, but I thought I didn't have time. It's called Destiny, and a lot of us, we're tossed, by the wind here and there. And if I have time, Muhammad, can I read it?
Sure.
It's
I think we have a minute.
I think we're about ready to. A lot of them are leaving, and there's one person that been online and probably have questions. Let's at least listen to her.
Yep. That's good.
Maybe somebody can allow her to come in to ask the question.
I think she can put it in the chat. I think the community does not have a mic access.
I just clicked allow mic. So I think, and you just have
you can
unmute.
And can you hear?
Probably she raised her hand by mistake.
Well, and please feel free to get your question or comment into the chat if you have a.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me. It was a mistake. I was trying to give a thumbs up to Sam.
Thank you, Anne.
Okay.
I figured.
Thank you.
Muhammad, do you want to read the You're muted.
Sure, it's called Destiny. Was I supposed to be in here, over there, or somewhere, floating like an autumn leaf, having no place to call home, tossed again and again by the wind, gentle at times, fierce and destructive at other times? Am I the child of man, or am I the child of morbid destiny, following my thorny path, seeking fortune and joy amidst destruction?
Thank you. On behalf of all of us, thank you for being part of this celebration. By showing up, listening, and learning, we continue to build a workplace and community rooted in inclusion, dignity, and shared purpose. As we close, I offer you a simple blessing in Arabic. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh mean, may peace, mercy, and blessing be upon you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. It was.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tobias.
Thank you.